everyone, in today's video I'll show you how to crochet this multi-stitch sweater vest, and I hope you will enjoy this video. If you do, don't forget to hit subscribe, like this video, and let's get into it. To make this vest you will need Aran weight yarn. I have 6 colors in total: this green, light blue, dark blue, brown, beige, and this yellow one. I will leave the link for all of them down in the description below, but I basically have 6 colors, all in 100 grams, so about 600 grams. Then you will need a 4.5mm hook, needle, and scissors. Starting off with the front panel and with the ribbing, you want to grab your yarn that you will be using for it, make a slip knot, and put your hook in. I will be doing 10 single crochets, so I will chain 11, but you can choose any other length. And to do a chain, you want to yarn over and pull it through the loop on your hook, just like so. Once you've got your chain, you want to skip the very first one and go into the second one with a single crochet. And once you're done with your first row, like I said, I will be having 10 single crochets all together. You want to chain 1, turn your work, and now you want to work your single crochets into the back loop only. So if you look at your work just like this, you should be able to see those V's that you would normally go in. And from now on, you only want to go into the back loop only. So once you chained 1 and turned, go into that back loop, pull up a loop and do your single crochet, just like so, and repeat this till the end of your row. At the end, chain 1, turn your work, and you now will be repeating row 2 as many times as you need until this ribbing becomes basically long enough to cover half your waist. And this is because we are working front panel only, so it's half of your waist size for one panel. I'm gonna do my rows and I will meet you at the end. And I have my ribbing done here. I did 60 rows all together. I'm here on my last single crochet, and basically once you've got the length of your ribbing, you will need to count the rows. And for example, I have 60, that means I will have 60 stitches above this ribbing. So if you have 70 rows, you will have 70 stitches, and so on, because each row will act as one single crochet. So now you want to go back into the 2 loops of your single crochet like so, or if you want to take that part, you just go into the back loop, pull up a loop, drop your current color, grab your new, put that around your hook and pull it through those 2 loops to change color, tighten it up, chain 1, and you will now be working above these rows. So like I said, every single row is 1 stitch, and if you have a closer look, you see, for example, this and this, these are the 2 rows. So this is the one and this is your second one. You should be able to find a spot here, and then it again repeats. There's this bigger hole and then a smaller one, and then again it repeats. Or you can just simply count the stitches at the end. But yeah, for the row number 1, you want to go in and make a row of single crochets, just like so. That's my first stitch. I'm gonna place my second one in here, and I will repeat this till I come to the end. And if you see, I'm carrying my tails under my stitches, so by doing the stitch I have my tails above. I then do my single crochet and I get my tails carried in. You can do this too so that you don't have to hide them later. But yeah, I'm just gonna do the row of single crochets till the end and I will meet you then. Once you are at the end of your row, you want to go in and make sure that you've got correct amount of stitches. I have 61 for each ribbing row I did. At the end of your first row, chain 1, turn your work, and you will now be doing these rows of single crochets another 8 times, so until you have 9 rows in total. And you are going through both loops, as this is just a normal single crochet. So do that until you have 9 rows, and I will meet you at the end. Now once you're done your 9 rows of single crochets, you want to go back to your last single crochet to change color, and I'm going to be using this green one. Then you want to chain 1, turn your work. I'm gonna try to have my tails on my wrong side so that I can hide them in, but for this row you will be doing single crochet, double crochet, and repeat. So straight into the first stitch, just do single crochet, and then in the next do double, which you can do by yarning over, going into the stitch to pull up a loop, then yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. Again into the next stitch, single crochet, and then double into the next one. And this is what you will repeat till the end of your row, basically just alternating these 2 stitches. Once you've finished your row, you want to chain 1, turn your work, and for the next row you will be basically doing the opposite stitch. So if you have single, you will be doing double above, and if you have double, you will be doing single. So these bigger holes, as you can see here, these are the single crochets, and these a bit higher where the loop is smaller, that's your double crochet. So above single, I will be doing double, and above double, it's single, and this is called a lemon peel stitch, where you just basically alternate the stitches and you do the opposite above what you have below. So just like that, you want to repeat this another 2 times until you have 3 rows in total. So I'm on the second one now, and I will be doing 3 in this color. So let me just finish that, and I will meet you at the end. And once you have completed the 3 rows of lemon peel stitch, you want to go to your stitch, whether that's single crochet or double, and change color to the new. I'm using this dark blue. Tighten it up and chain 1. Then turn your work, and for the next 8 rows we will be doing single crochet but into the back loop. For the very first row in this color, you just want to go through normal loops just to complete a row of single crochets. And once your first row is done, chain 1, turn your work, and for the next 7 rows you will be doing single crochets into the back loop only. So again, if you turn your work, you will see those 2 loops, and there's this front one as well as the back. So always go into the back one only. And do that until you have total of 8 rows in this color. And once you have done your 8 rows of back loop single crochet, as always we will be changing color on the last stitch. I'm bringing this yellow in, tighten it up, chain 1 and turn. Now for this row, you want to do yarn over slip stitches, and to do that, you yarn over, go into the stitch, pull up a loop and come back, and you want to put this loop through the other two, like so. Again, yarn over, go into the stitch, pull up a loop, and do a slip stitch. And this is what you will repeat till the end of your row, just basically doing those yarn over slip stitches. So let me just finish mine and I will come back at the end. At the end of your yarn over slip stitch row, chain 1, turn your work, and repeat this row one more time. So yarn over, go through both loops, and do your slip stitch, and repeat this till the end of your row. So I'm just gonna finish mine and I will meet you then. Now on your last yarn over slip stitch, we will change color. So go into the stitch like so, drop your old color and grab your new, which is again a blue for me. Chain 1, turn your work, and you will now be repeating these 8 blue rows. So first single crochet row and remaining 7 into the back loop only. So I'm not going to show this again. If you need, you can play it back, but it's initially just a single crochets. The first row goes into the normal stitch through both loops, and then rows after that into the back loop. So let me finish mine and I will meet you at the end. Now after another 8 rows in this blue, I will finish off. So I'm just gonna chain 1 and cut my yarn off, then pull through and turn my work. And this is where I basically will start shaping my armholes. So if you by any chance want this to be any longer, you can do more rows either in the same color and same stitch or bring up something new. But from now on I will be doing shorter rows. What means is that I will have this much of a gap basically for my arm. And what you want to consider is that whatever number of stitches you leave out, when you add up a ribbing around your armholes, that it's not too big. So it's basically the length of from shoulder to shoulder, but having some allowance so that you can still add the ribbing on. And what I will do is I will skip 10 stitches and I'm gonna go into the 11th one, this time with brown. So I'm just pulling it through and chaining 1 to secure, and I will do a half double crochet row up until I have 10 stitches left. So that leaves me with 40 half double crochets. And to do a half double crochet, you want to yarn over, go into the stitch, pull up a loop and come back, yarn over and pull through all 3. And this is what I will do until I have 10 stitches left, but you should leave the same as you left here. And once you come to an end, so this is 10 stitches for me, you want to chain 1, turn your work, and continue doing half double crochets until you have 6 rows in total. And after those 6 rows of half double crochets, I'm just going to go into the last stitch to change color, and this is again a green. Chain 1 and turn your work, and again I'm going to be doing that lemon peel stitch I have here for 3 rows. I'm going to start off by doing single crochet, then double crochet into the next stitch, and just like so I will repeat these 2 until I have 3 rows in total. And you already know this, but when you do come for your next row, you always will be doing opposite stitch above what you have before. So let me just do mine and I will meet you at the end. And after 3 rows of lemon peel stitch. I'm bringing the light blue back again, chain 1 and turn, and I will be doing 6 rows of just plain single crochets like I did at the very beginning here. And it's the same exact thing, I'm just doing 6 rows of single crochets. So let me finish that and I will meet you at the end. Once your 6 rows of single crochets are done, finish off and bring in new color, which is this yellow for me. Chain 1, turn your work. And now for the first row, you want to do half double crochets, so it's yarn over, go into the stitch, pull up a loop, and yarn over, pull through all 3. Repeat this till the end of your row, and then I will meet you at the end to show you what's next. At the end of your row, chain 1. Turn your work, and now for the next 4 rows you will need to do half double crochets but into a third loop. A third loop for a double crochet is this loop here. So where you have these 2 normal loops, there's this bottom one that it's called third loop, and it is like a regular half double crochet but made into that third loop only, like so. One more time, you yarn over, go into that third loop, pull up a loop, and pull through all 3. And what this stitch makes is basically it leaves your regular loops pushed forward. These are the loops you normally go into, but by going into the third loop you form these chain looking stitches. So yeah, just basically continue making your half double crochets into that third loop. And just to show you this one more time, at the end of your row, chain 1, turn your work, then yarn over, go into that third loop, pull up a loop, and finish off. Again, yarn over, go into that third loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through all 3. And while you have this chain pushed on this side now, the other one is pushed on the other, as you can see here. So they kind of alternate between the 2 sides. But yeah, just repeat this half double crochet into the third loop until you have 5 rows in total, and I will meet you then. And now after 5 rows of those half double crochets into the third loop, I'm gonna change color to the green one. Chain 1, turn my work, and I'm gonna do 2 rows of lemon peel stitch, which is again basically single crochet, double crochet, and repeat. And then I will be shaping my shoulders. So I'm gonna finish these 2 rows and I will meet you then for the shoulder part. And after those 2 lemon peel stitch rows, this is how it looks. If you're not happy with the measurements of rows I do, you can always take off or add on more rows. But yeah, this is where I will be shaping shoulders. So I'm just gonna chain 1, turn my work, and it's basically now gonna be a short bit for the shoulder with a few rows that will kind of be decreased from 14 stitches, and it will end up with 6 for me. You again can start off with a different amount of stitches depending on size you are doing, and have different number of stitches you end up with. But for me, the first row is gonna be 14 stitches. I'm gonna decrease in the first 2, so I'll pull up a loop in the first, pull up a loop in the next, and then yarn over, pull through all. Then it's single crochet for me in next, double, and I'm just gonna continue making the stitches for the next 10. I will then decrease in the next two, so I will pull up a loop in the next two stitches, yarn over and pull through all, then chain one and turn. And if you have a look on your other side, it will be symmetrical, so this is where my neck line will start to shape, and it will go smaller and smaller, shaping that kind of color. So yeah, for the next row, I'm just gonna do a single and double crochet without any decreases. So just because the second stitch of mine is gonna be double, I'm gonna start with single above my decrease. And after this row, I will be changing color to brown, so I'm just gonna change it, then chain one. And this row for me again is gonna be with decrease, so I'm just gonna make my decrease stitch in the first two, and I will be doing half double crochets till I have 2 stitches left so that I can do decrease again. Again, to do decrease, pull up a loop in the first, pull up a loop in the last stitch and pull through all 3, chain 1 and turn. The next row for me is just gonna be a half double crochets with no decreases, and I will have 10 of them. Then chain 1 and turn. And this is the row where I will again do decrease, so into the first 2 stitches, pull up a loop and pull through all 3. I'm then gonna continue with half double crochet till I have 2 stitches left, and then do decrease in the last 2 by pulling up a loop in both, and then you would yarn over and pull through, but I'm gonna change color here. I'm gonna grab this blue, pull through and finish that decrease stitch, then chain 1, turn my work, and this row is with no decreases, so I'm just gonna go in and make single crochets. It's gonna be 8 for me, then chain 1 and turn. Now this is again a row of decreases for me, so I'm gonna go into the back loop to pull up a loop, then again into the next stitch and do decrease, and this is because this row is a back loop single crochet. Then I'm just gonna do back loop single crochets until I have 2 stitches left and do decrease again into the back loop only. Pull through all 3, chain 1 and turn. And for the last row, I'm just gonna do 6 single crochets into the back loop only. Then chain 1 and finish off with a longer tail for sewing. Pull it through. And this is how it will look. So basically from 14 stitches, I went to 6 in total, and that's how my shoulder looks like. So it kind of shapes a rounded neckline, if that makes sense. Now you will need to grab your green yarn, insert it into the same stitch. So if you chose number 10, you will insert into the 10th one, but basically I had 14. I'm gonna start with 14, and I will repeat the same exact thing one more time. Once you finish your front panel, you will need to go in and make the same for the back, but the only difference of your shoulder panels being slightly shorter. As you can see, these 2 green rows as well as this brown was made in full for the back, and then I just repeated the same for these last 5 rows as I did for the front. The only difference is just that these 3 rows was made in full, but I still did the creases on these sides. And the only thing that you want to make sure is that you end up with the same amount of stitches for the shoulder piece, as well as same number of rows in total, so that your front and back matches. But yeah, to put it in simple way, these 3 rows that for the front panel was only made for shoulders, I did them in full, and I only did 5 rows for the shoulder, which is exactly the same as the front. And this is because the back panel does not need that big of a deep neck basically. So yeah, the front needs to have a deeper neck while the back not as deep. So make your back panel and I will meet you then. Now once you've got your back and front panels done, you want to pull them together right sides in so that you have wrong sides out, and using your yarn left from one of the shoulders, you want to sew across all the stitches. So I have 6 single crochets and I'm gonna be sewing across. You could also use your hook and do slip stitches if you prefer that. I'm just gonna sew it by going through one side then back to the other like this. And once you're done sewing, you will just need to hide the tail in. So go under the stitches on your wrong side. Like so, until you feel that it is secure enough. Once that's done, you can cut it off, and you will then need to sew these sides together and repeat everything on the shoulder as well as this side. Now once you have sewn the sides together, you will need to do a collar as well as the ribbing for the armholes, and I have these two both done because it is the same thing, so I'm just going to show it on color, but you basically will need to repeat the same for your both armholes as well. Now to start working on the collar, you want to find the shoulder seam on either sides and grab your hook, put it in to the side because I will be working this way. So where the seam is, where you basically joined your shoulders, then grab your yarn, pull it through and chain 1 to secure. Then you want to decide how many stitches you want for your ribbing to be. It was 5 single crochets for me, but you can go with any number that you want. So I will chain 6. And then starting into second chain from my hook, I will go in with a single crochets. And that is 5. Now once you reach the side where your work is, you will need to do 2 slip stitches. So each row counts as 1 stitch. So I will need to do 2 slip stitches in the next 2 rows. So I'm just gonna go in, yarn over and do my slip stitch. That's 1, and then my second one, then chain 1. And this is what you will always be doing when you come to this side. So 2 slip stitches and chain 1. When you turn, you will be skipping these 2 and then go into the single crochets only. So I chained, I'm gonna turn, and as you can see, this is my chain 1, this is the 2 slip stitches, and this is my single crochet in which I'm gonna go, but into the back loop only. So what you are skipping is these 2 slip stitches, and it's important you don't get confused between the single crochets and slip stitches, or you might miss or increase in stitch count. And you can also use a stitch marker if that helps. But yeah, I'm just gonna do 5 single crochets into the back loop. at the end chain 1, then turn my work, and again going into the back loop, I'm gonna do 5 single crochets, and when you reach your work, you do 2 slip stitches in the next 2 rows, just like so, and then chain 1. When you do come to the stitches, because these are the stitches and these are the side of the rows, so you will count one stitch as one stitch and be basically doing slip stitches in the next 2, but for the rows, you do 1 above each row. Then you turn and you basically repeat these all around the color. So just gonna go in again with my 5 single crochets into the back loop, chain 1, turn my work, and again 5 single crochets into the back loop, and that's 5. This is where you would mark your stitch if you need help identifying those single crochets from slip stitches, but yeah, then you do 2 slip stitches, then chain 1, turn your work, and as always skip chain, skip the 2 slip stitches and go into your first single crochet to do as many back loop single crochets as you have. This is 5 for me. At the end of your row, chain 1, and so on. This is what you will repeat all around. So I'm gonna leave you here. I'm gonna finish mine and I will come back at the end to show you how to join these 2 ends together. So yeah, I'm just gonna be basically going all around with this ribbing. And now when you finish going all around, what I did was I did my slip stitch and then I chained 1. But if you finished at the top here, just chain 1 and then fold these 2 ends together, and this one is a chain while this one is single crochet, so you only want to go through the front loop of your single crochet and then into the chain, just like this, and do a slip stitch, then again into the front loop, into the chain, and do a slip stitch. And I will repeat this 5 times because I do have 5 single crochets. But yeah, just go in all stitches to slip stitch it together. Once that's done, chain 1, cut your yarn, pull it through, and you will now need to hide this tail in. And I'm just gonna go into that slip stitch row where I just joined, like so. And then just under some stitches. Once you've hidden that in, just cut it off, and this is it. You will need to repeat the same thing on your both armholes, just by exactly doing the same thing. So either on this seam or this one here, just join your yarn, chain any amount you want, and go in with the rows like I showed you on this one. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, don't forget to hit subscribe, like this video, and I'll see you in my next one.